The ultimate Naruto fanboy matchup, two father figures of the manga. Sure, they might be dead for most of the series run, but forget Naruto and Sasuke, all fanboys really want to hype are the big boys behind them. The Genjutsu Clan Killer, or the Yellow Flash. Just for clarification before we go in, I'm not a fan of either of these characters. They're overexposed, overpowered, and ultimately rather smug. There is no bias in this analysis. There is some heavy nerdy research into both their shown on-screen feats. By all means, jump into the discussion, but if your comment looks like this, you're gonna get fucking ignored. And if your favourite doesn't win, please don't cry about it. First, we start with the fact that these are both very, very situational fighters. In every shown Itachi fight, we have never really seen him without restriction. Unwilling to fight common allies, holding back against Sasuke, taking Kabuto prisoner, etc, etc. But at the same time, many of his most impressive moments occur during special conditions. Itachi and Minato's immortal Edo Tensei bodies granted them physical immunity and improved stamina and chakra reserves. For the reason of clarity, Edo forms are removed and there is no intel on the other past what the characters would just realistically, know themselves. So first, let's analyse personalities. Minato was a friendly yet war-hardened man. He was hailed as the fastest shinobi in ninja history, a very analytical ninja gifted with fast reflexes and the ability to come up with really long complicated titles for jutsus. His title alone stroked fear into the hearts of other nations. Minato's fighting style revolved around speed and quickly taking down an enemy at close range, sniping if you will. I personally hate the term because it never actually happens in the manga, but speed blitz is the term. Whilst Minato has a tendency to close that gap very quickly, nearly all of his moveset requires the up and personal approach. His battle sense comes from quick thinking and instant strategies. Itachi, on the other hand, was also a tactician, perhaps smarter and even more analytical than even Minato. He was the single greatest Genjutsu user in the Narutoverse. And before you think, oh wow, what a lot of competition, Genjutsu of Itachi's caliber leads to an instant KO. He was very wise, having a Hokage-level temperament at a young age due to war, and he has the hugely expansive moveset and fanbase to back it up. Born as a prodigy to the Uchiha clan, an elite amongst even the Akatsuki, and a powerful secret hero, in a different life, Itachi would have too made a great, short-lived Hokage. In terms of battle tactics and intelligence, Itachi is our first winner. You take this category, buddy. Now let's throw aside all that hype and rhetoric, because now it's down to the hard facts. Let's go. With there being only natural intel, Itachi gets the precog advantage. Itachi was a character hidden in shadow, whilst Minato was basically a celebrity, a world leader. His abilities were well known. Minato, with his fighting style, will be up in his face immediately, going for that quick, silent kill. And here's our first game member. Can Itachi survive the quickscope? The Yellow Flash's tactics are literally legends, so with his Sharingan vision and his own fast foot speed, Itachi is able to avoid the one-hit KO Namikaze snipe in base mode. The Sharingan can track and stop him being overwhelmed by Minato's speed. Itachi's own reaction time and foot speed has been shown to be keeping up with even the legendary Shizui Uchiha, so do not think he's getting overwhelmed by speed here. Surviving this, Itachi's slightly superior intelligence allows for a variety of counter and huge moveset attacks. Predominantly, he's likely to use taijutsu from what he's been shown by previous displays. With kunai in hand, Itachi is the best skilled martial artist out of the two. Minato has a tendency to set up warp kunai as soon as possible, and whilst Itachi can visually follow him, Sharingan allows him to keep up in a way no other enemy would, as Minato does outclass him up close and personal. Close range. The winner is Minato. Either getting away swiftly with only a scratch, or at worst, a seal slapped onto his back, Itachi gauges that fighting from a mid-range is more suitable. And then it comes to Jutsu. Who's best in Jutsu? Itachi's speed mostly originates from his insane hand sign weaving of agility, whereas Minato counters this gap by just not really needing hand signs for his moveset. Their next attacks thus strike at the exact same time. Itachi now focuses on his core strength, knowing that looking into his eyes is a game over. Whilst Minato has less intel on Itachi than he does on him, displaying a surprising amount of knowledge about elite Uchiha, he deduced that the masked man couldn't control the Nine Tails for long, as well as fighting, training, and creating strategies around Uchiha through the series. Minato is no Uchiha newbie. Genjutsu is a very immediate threat that it could be a game ender for 90% of ninja. How does Minato immediately react? Well, with clones. Clones cancel out his genjutsu. Itachi, though, is also an experienced clone user, dispatching explosive ones in the mix to cancel out the barrage, giving him the edge. Ultimately, though, Minato can't produce as many shadow clones as Itachi, so with his instant explosions, Itachi takes the edge. Minato has been shown to survive more instant explosions in the past, and whilst he can escape, Itachi is simply better in this department, giving him the chance to throw away his marked Katsuki cloak. No sniping today, pretty boy. At the mid-range, Itachi begins to dominate, being able to deploy skilled fireball and water dragon busts, as well as his speciality to cover shuriken and fire to make them more impactful. Minato's only motive in this position is to close the gap, or get away. Itachi at this point has worked out his potential sneak attacks from planted shuriken, and so he's one step ahead. Whichever one Minato goes to, Itachi will know, and his Sharingan will be able to keep up with it. Minato's are similar to War Naruto, having both Sage Mode and Biju Mode. Whilst Biju Mode made Minato's attacks just, hit harder, it's getting a good hit on the fluid Uchiha that's the hard part. This guy's fast, he's all over the place, sometimes he turns into literal crows. You want to get a good grasp on him. Let's not even talk about Minato's Sage Mode. That thing was so hard for him to use and weak that against an enemy of this caliber, it's basically a non-factor. The winner of mid-range goes to Itachi Uchiha. Next, in an attempt to end this mid-stalemate, Minato can use Barrier Ninjutsu or Biju Mode foot speed to land any manner of Rasengan in a moment. Physical attacks alone aren't really that effective against Itachi due to Susanoo. Yeah, that's right, Minato pushed him to Susanoo. Whilst limited in size, Mangekyo Itachi becomes a very menacing opponent, instantly taking dominance of the battlefield, in size and ability and defense. Suddenly, Minato's speed becomes irrelevant, as the new focus becomes staying alive and cracking that Susanoo armor. For clarification, Itachi Susanoo is known as the ultimate defense for a reason. Whilst Tailed Beast Rasengan can surely break the ribcage, the final form Susanoo can tank perhaps anything in Minato's arsenal. In terms of defense, it also goes to Itachi. Luckily though, Itachi Susanoo becomes sluggish and slow in comparison to these two speedsters, and suddenly Itachi can't keep up in the way he was earlier. And whilst Minato can dodge this chakra giant, the debris and chakra expendage is leaving him with minor injuries. If necessary, Itachi can seem to vanish via Crow Genjutsu, and then set fire to his environment to prevent Minato's flitting around. Yeah, I'm talking Amaterasu, we're busting out the big guns. Minor contacts with Amaterasu can be solved with similarly, losing the Hokage cloak. Just get that fire off of you. Sifty, what's with these two young feminine men undressing each other through battle? What's that about? But if it makes contact with skin, Minato is fucked. But counter-argument, the problem with this is that Amaterasu severely drains Itachi, and whilst it does hugely ruin Namikaze's fighting style by not letting him bounce between the shuriken, this has to be a last resort attack. Minato also counters Itachi's vanishing clone mind games by being an impressive sensor. Yeah, being able to touch the ground to sense any movement, or if he's in a rush, Sage Mode. Then we analyse Minato's offensive capabilities. Asking a speedster to combat a Uchiha chakra giant like a Susanoo is no easy request, considering Minato is a stealth ninja. To even get to Itachi in this form requires great force, and I mean a lot. Susanoo has been shown to be able to brush aside Kirin, Gaara Sand, and even the attacks of Kabuto Yakushi. Yeah. So, Odama Rasengan? Nah. Tailed Beast Rasengan? Not enough. At this point, Minato's best physical counter is the often overlooked Cart Destroyer technique. Yeah, that thing. Summoning a giant toad and dropping it on the enemy. And guys, we know which toad in particular Minato made a contract with. Yeah, the chief boss man himself appears and puts Minato on par with Itachi for the moment. Two pretty boys going big. Amaterasu and sheer size can do only so much to Gamabunta, being a hugely fearsome threat in his own right. Totodile attacks may even be enough to fry the ribcage in a similar fashion to how Sasuke against Mayfared. But for certain, it is now Itachi who is physically dwarfed, size-wise. Itachi Susanoo is trapped under the gigantic landmass of Gamabunta. Still physically capable, but now trapped, held in place by the gigantic summon. At this point, Itachi only has a few jutsu left at his disposal. Izanami is a high-level jutsu that can end much stronger ninja than even Minato. Even if he does try and engage Minato with it, Minato Namikaze died content and a happy man. His only minor regrets, such as Obito and Naruto, sort of form after his death when he's revived, so no emotional complex to resolve is a rare feat and would equate to a waste of time trying to pull off this tech. Summonings and other alternative fighting styles, the winner goes to Minato Namikaze. At this point, trapped under this giant toad, Itachi's only remaining option is his greatest power, the God Tools, Totsuka Blade and Yatamira. In an instant, this solos Gamabunta and seals him away. Some people might argue, how does Susanoo even move his arms? That's a good point. Gamabunta is sent to a world of drunken dreams. Minato flees, and with this, Biju mode begins to spam every large jutsu at his disposal, all absorbed by Yatamira. Fleeting, pointless. The Totsuka Blade, whilst being, a one-hit KO sacred weapon, is slow and needs to pierce its small target, meaning for the speedster, it's no problem to avoid. What are the chances of this giant sword, the same size as Minato, getting a good stabbing motion? No. The game is about to end. Itachi walks towards Minato, his eyes on every kunai, engulfing them all in fire as he narrows down on Minato. There's not a lot of places to run. Minato is rendered powerless and considers his last resort, summoning the Death Reaper, potentially sealing them both in a last suicide attack, since, unlike Hiruzen, the fourth can luckily use it from a distance. Minato evades a fireball shot his way, realizing Itachi's trapping tactic. Minato observes his opponent, tired and desperate, yet still calm and collected, and with his own intelligence, forming a great idea. Minato forgets the Shinigami, as he doesn't have to use them today, and uses Rasen Senko Cho Renboko Sanshiki. Yeah, I just said that. With help from a shadow clone, peering free out in the open, no longer cornered, as Minato flashes his fastest, avoiding every tired Uchiha attack. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the most important factor of this battle. It's just the matchup. It's the nature of the matchup. The Databook reveals that Itachi's major weakness is his low chakra reserves. Bad physical stamina combined with being forced to a Susanoo makes Minato a cunning, analysing tactician and speedster, the perfect person to abuse Itachi's weakness. Whilst having also expended a large amount of chakra himself, even unaided by a flying thunder god, Minato is a faster ninja than Itachi and cannot be caught by a Susanoo, or a tired Uchiha. Whilst Itachi forced Minato out of his comfort zone by preventing a quick takedown, Minato had the brains and large chakra reserves to come up with a new, quick strategy. Stall. Just stall. Because Minato has some large chakra reserves himself. This big chakra bank was evidenced even before Edo revival. Through his capacity to summon Gamabunta, redirect a tailed beast bomb, teleport a tailed beast, summon the Shinigami, and battle the masked man all in the space of an hour. Yeah, Minato's got a lot of chakra, and his reflexes and evasion skills are equally helpful. Honed enough to evade techniques such as Lightning Straight and Kamuri, with chakra still remaining, Minato kills time by dispersing shadow clones, summoning toad diversions, and prolonged use of Flying Thunder God. Itachi eventually is forced to drop Susanoo, for his own sake. If he uses up all of his chakra, Itachi will straight up die. But with all of his jutsu and chakra expended already, there is little else for him to do. Itachi knows the consequences of this, and that he's been played, and calmly submits with a modest smile, whilst Minato snipes in for the kill.
Finish him!
Minato, medium-high difficulty, is the winner. And there is the age-old question solved. Minato versus Itachi. Oh, the angry fanbase are at my door right now. Sick. Look guys, be angry at Kishimoto, not me. I'm just the guy reading the facts. I'm just the dickhead making the video. Suggest more matchups if you liked this, and comment, like you always do. Slap this on your Facebook or Twitter to your other Naruto buds, and you back me up, I back you up. See you later, it's your Rakus, bozos.